So, here I am again. Yeah, I just, again, it was this painting. I thought I had finished it a few days ago when I posted a short video about a lasur, but I kept on working on it and fucked it up a couple of times and got it back again, and I kept going back and forth until it almost drove me crazy. And I guess that is what my paintings always do, trying to kill me. So I finished it now, and I'm gonna post this full process video of the whole process. Maybe you get something out of it. I think it became quite nice. The point is that it's really always hard to know when to stop and stuff like that. It's really hard. So just kept on going. So I don't know. I like it and then I hate it. And I guess that is a struggle I have to deal with every time in every painting. It's the same thing, the same process, the same struggle, and the same pain actually. I also signed it down here. So anyway, the customer is pleased, and I think it became quite nice actually. But I saw that I made the dog figure a little bit bigger on the canvas than is on the photo, but that is just things that happen when you don't trace it or use what do you call it? Projector. Yeah. Anyway, so again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe and share my videos on social media. It's really helpful to me to get my work out there. And if you like, you can also donate if you get something out of it and you want to give something back. Any amount would help. Appreciate it, and I really appreciate comments. And yeah, so it's now 26th of January, and I'm just going to continue with the next one, which is inside the other room there, and that's going to be a real battle. So again, thanks for watching, and hi YouTube. Yeah, it's me again. I'm gonna start a little painting of a dog actually. It's a commission painting, and yeah, I'm gonna show you what I'm going to do. I'm gonna paint this on that canvas, and I promised the owner of the dog to make a video of the process, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. What I like here is all the detail, all the light and stuff. That is really beautiful. It's going to be amazing to work with. You can build the lights over here, and yeah, just mold it into something quite nice. Yeah. So I have my palette and my brushes and my coffee and my mango and some citron water to keep me going through the night. It's a very good thing to drink coffee and a lot of water because it kind of keeps you going. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Hope you get something out of it. I'm gonna try to keep it short, but I don't promise anything. They tend to become a little bit long. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Here I go again. So, the first thing I have to do is to put my finger in my ear, because I was... the second thing I have to do is to find approximately how the dog is 1 in the height, 1, and it's 1.5, basically 1.5. So I have to place the dog somewhere like it's here, nose. And you see, I just line it up loosely, so, and the snout, there, and I just kind of put it down. As I had discussed with a person on YouTube, I don't use a projector or any tools like that because I really enjoy the challenge, getting stuff right. And of course the argument that, yeah, well, why do you use a photo? Came up, and you just have to acknowledge that it's very hard to get a dog to stand like that for a long time, and it's easier to paint it in my studio. Also, to me, is all about the paint. So I'm not really interested in photorealism. I'm interested in building with paint, like clay, and actually most impressionists and also use photographs for the impressionists and kind of artists from the 1800s. And since photograph actually came into being, it has been used by painters and made their painting easier. You can actually get more done. You see, now I kind of just placed it. And this is basically what I do. I just start, and I keep on, what I do is I keep on rearranging it. I see, okay, I have to have more, get lower down there. It's almost like you should give me a piece of clay to work with. Just have to. That is why my paintings may look a little bit like they are photographic, but they are not. They are not really photographic. It's hard to see if the dog is not too big or too small. And there will always be in my paintings these differences from the photo. Okay. many times we actually make the figures smaller for some reason, and sometimes bigger, but usually, usually it's bigger for some reason. Exaggerates. We tend to exaggerate, so. And now I start with the background. I use thick paint, very thick paint, so I get a lot of texture in. I love to build with the color. I love the feeling of just really seeing the textures, the brush strokes. I also noticed something that puzzled me the other day. I'm now 48 and I'm starting to get always perfect eyesight, but I'm starting to get a little bit long-sighted. So when I'm standing close, I don't really see, unless I use glasses, I don't really see the textures so good, or the brush strokes clearly. So when I put my glasses on, I see, wow, because I don't actually see them clearly. They're getting better because I give more over to coincidence, and I can see that how much I'm working with directions in the painting. Okay, my eyesight isn't as bad as I can't see it, but you know, it's like I just don't see it as clearly as I used to. I have to stand like over here to see it clearly. Up here it gets quite blurry. So annoying. I guess it's old age. A little bit here and a little bit there. And then boom, you're dead. There's a bluish here, red there. I've got a lot of people are posting. I have a group on Facebook, and people are posting their paintings, and the quality is varies. But it's funny because we all have to go through the same learning curve and do the same mistakes. So when I comment paintings or works, it's basically the same thing I say, that they have to focus more on the paint, on the textures, on the molding it, with having the thicker. Just need some white. Yes, it's Old Holland, titanium white. Yeah, where were I? Yeah, basically it's the same mistakes, and I say you have to don't think of it as a motive. Think of it as paint. That's what is important. If you learn how to paint, how to mold paint, you can paint anything, and any object can be a good painting. And that's why you see the old masters. It doesn't really matter if they painted a landscape or a human being or an object. It is in the textures and the beauty of the way they mold the colors that makes it beautiful. It was at the Frick collection in New York last September, and I saw some amazing paintings there. and I just stood close to them and looked at all the ways they do all the leaves and all the brush strokes, all the choices. You can actually start to see how the artists were thinking. You could even see if the artist had fun when he was painting it. So that's what I recommend. Think like a painter. Think paint. Don't try to be an artist. Art will come as a natural result of the painting process. You're a living subject. You're a subjective person, and your subject will be transformed through the brush, through the palette, into the painting. Your personality would, in the end, start to show itself on the canvas. But if you keep on trying to be an artist, and you will never let go. You just have to let go. Just paint. Go with the flow. Feel the feel the force. Not feel the force, but you know. It's like me. I was a welder once. When I was young, I was in my 28, like 16 to in my early 20s. I was a welder. I couldn't paint anything. And I went to drawing school and I went to an art school. I didn't actually learn me. Nobody actually learned me, taught me to paint in the art school, but I just painted a lot. And I learned from my mistakes. Most art schools want you to become a conceptual artist anyway, so they won't teach you the basics. I remember one time I had been standing around with a drawing for days, really working with it, and this teacher came over to me and just grabbed my charcoal and just went over it like this. It was really an arrogant fuck, but I almost hit him. And you shouldn't do that. If you're a teacher, teach by telling them, not by ruining their work. And it's like pissing people in the face. If you want to show anything, you draw on the side or something. You don't start painting other people's or drawing on other people's work. So, yeah. How long have I been yapping now? 30 minutes. Okay. Well, we don't want this to be a 6-hour video, do we? Nah. So I'm gonna shut it down and I'm gonna paint for another hour or so, or two, and then I'm gonna make another one. But you see how okay, I have some erfaring, I have some, I kind of, okay, well, I don't know the words in English. I have the know-how to take chances, okay? If you haven't been painting for so long, you might want to slow down, because you need to give yourself time to get it right. I have more, in Norwegian it's called erfaring. build up more skills, so I can take, as I said, bigger chances. Okay, that said, the snout. I've had 4 dogs in my life, and I don't really like cats much. I love dogs. Dogs are really fun. And my last dog was a beautiful dog. Actually, I have a beautiful picture of him. So maybe I'll paint him one day. Yeah. See, I just ding 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 ding. I catch the motif in segments in a way. My brain catches. That is how humans actually see. We don't see the whole thing. We don't see the whole room. We just see it in pieces. So the brain is focusing on points, and the other things are blurry. So you just, when you're gonna transfer this over there, you just have to think like that. You just take it, okay, so shadow, and yeah, keep on building. Anyway, yes, I've been yapping for at least 16 minutes, so see you later. Yeah, so here we are. This is the first layer of color. I'm gonna mold it a little bit more before I stop. I think it's like 6 in the morning, so I'm just gonna fix certain things. Like I can see there's some mistakes here, but no big mistakes. So what I now have to start doing is to actually just make all the different light and the shadow. Okay, it had to be more. It's so wet now that it's really difficult to paint on it. So I'm going to let it dry for a couple of days, and then I can, or maybe more, I don't know. And then I just start molding. Keep molding, as I say. Yeah. The head isn't quite right yet, but there's other things too, but I really do love this because sketching is kind of instant gratification. You can see all the strokes. It's like almost like a dance with colors and shapes. what I do is to, when I keep on painting it, I make the different textures and the different layers more and more different. Like the thick colors behind here will after a while start to bring, it kind of looks like the dog is coming out, but actually it will be darker than the background, so it kind of, it drops in, but it looks like it drops out. So snout. Yeah. It stands a little bit like that, so it doesn't really mirror it perfectly. It kind of drags the shape in the water a little bit. I measure it and it is a little bit further, so I did a mistake there. I have to correct. So the snout will kind of be in here. Here, and the head will be at least over there, maybe even longer. I think what I love about painting is that it levels out my brain, and it kind of makes me happy, and I take the happiness with me. The more I paint, the more when people ask me how are you, I usually joke around, well, still hanging together, you know. I have 32 more years to live on average, but when I paint and I do the right things, I eat the right things, I train, don't fuck up too much, just feel happy, and then I just say, well, I'm fine, just fine. I think painting works much in the same way as meditation. It calms down the brain and levels out the neurotransmitters to a more subdued level. Not subdued, but more should study English. Probably get what I what I mean. Usually I play music when I'm painting, so. But when I put my videos onto YouTube, I usually get some problems with copyright and stuff like that, so I had one video there I played some U2 and I cut out the sound, and I wouldn't like that to happen. So it'd be good for people for me to explain stuff to people. It's darker. Now the colors are getting mixed up on the canvas now, and I don't actually use so many. I don't mix colors so much. I kind of just paint. I like to paint in directions, and the nice thing is that after a while I just kind of drag the sea over, and you have to create that watery feeling. I love working with this. I really enjoyed it. It's very subtle. Very subtle from the light to his fur, or her, so her. And it's bluish in the light parts. It's bluish, and the sea behind here is in the red or orange, and different orange colors. That's what I like to do. I work with Goethe's Fabula and Goethe's color circle, and how nature actually shape the light and the shapes, and how the colors. Sorry, getting distracted by my painting. I paint like light does in nature. I think like that, you know. The complementary colors and the shades, or the mixture of those. See, you just have to work in different directions, and when you then work on top of these again, you can go that way, and you just keep on making fur. You keep on making sea or water. So just start to build like this, because there are some, and when I go this way, when it's dry, these textures are under there and gives kind of furry feeling, and I put some lasur over it with oil and some bluish or reddish colors, and then I work on top of that again, and all this over time brings out all the different textures and brush strokes. That's how it's done. Now it's actually starting to look like a dog. A doggy dog. Getting tired, you probably see that now. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Nah, too much. Well, and I just put it down. No, I did too much. And it just pops out. I'm not scared of putting on too much color because I know I can control the next stages. I remember when I started painting, it was like I had to learn while I was painting. I do that now too, but on a different level. I had to learn on my mistakes all the time, and it could just ruin everything. Yeah, it's becoming a doggy dog. It's going to be real nice to work with all these wet. It's wet fur. I'm not trying to paint every hair. I saw this video on Facebook, a guy who painted a polar bear, and it kind of looks good, but it's so rigid. It's not painted. It's just standing there doing that's not how it should be done. It's supposed to be a painting. It's not to be drawn. When things become too perfect, it becomes boring. It has to be. So the subjectivity of the artist just disappears in a lot of control and a lot of rules, and fuck the rules. Just paint. Yeah. That was wrong too. Give it some some reds. I love these pencils. They're flat, and I just see now. I hold it quite loose, and I just pull it up, push it on, and I let the strokes stay. I just do like this, like it should, like I'm painting with clay, just loosely, because you push it too hard and it loses that paintedness. But here it has to be a little bit more flat again, because there's a lot of blues. And the blue is darker, so therefore the thickest brush strokes has to be in the reddish areas. In the end, anyway. This is what's gonna give it a punch. Yeah. Okay, 18 minutes. Well, I think this should do it for today. As I said, I don't want this video to be hours long. Too much. There's a lot of Prussian blue down here. Prussian blue is a very strong color. It's almost like blueberries. If you ever got blueberries on your clothes or something, you just can't get rid of the color. And this is kind of a blueberry color. And if you can't control Prussian blue, you have a serious problem, because Prussian blue takes over everything if you can't control it. It's a very strong blue color, blue-greenish, cold. Yeah, it's better, I think. And in the beginning I'm using a lot of white. A lot of white. It's a good thing it's not the most expensive color. White isn't a color, of course, but white is my clay, in a way. And you must never use black alone anywhere, because then it just becomes a dead. It's like if you use black, ivory black, or any black without any color in it, it will be like a whole, like a dead surface. So you have to be very careful with the use of black. Remember that what we see is colors, light and shape. So, and nature doesn't have any black colors, only nuances. So be careful with too much black. Okay. Yeah, that was getting better. Some beautiful water-like shapes. This is like here. It is difficult, more difficult to paint when I'm doing the videos, but I might actually start doing some streaming, if there should be any interest. some people can ask questions real time, and maybe there will even be a donate button, because I'm giving away these things for free, so it could be nice if somebody supported it a little bit. Anyway. So, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. And I think it became quite a nice sketch. The head maybe is a little bit too small and stuff like that, but it will be easy for me to fix it. So, okay. Thanks. Yeah. So, I guess we are ready for layer number 3 on this doggy, and I'm not going to use any retouché varnish on this, because I'm going to use my usual lasur to bring it out, and that is with the Pressure Bleu and Kraplak or alizarin crimson, or you could also use other reds or blues. You see it's more red over there. There is only one reason to do this, and that is to get the textures out. And of this kind of new beginning. I also had some cadmium. So over here, light reddish areas. I can now see just going over the whole thing, almost the whole thing. The shadows. I haven't actually learned this anywhere, I just figured it out by myself. That was a good way to go about it. So, I have no idea if there has been any tradition for, that was much too much, tradition for starting like this, but it works for me, so that's the important thing. I actually try to paint quite dry, so not use too much oil. I don't mix much oil into the color when I'm painting. So and you actually want to keep it as dry as possible, because over time it won't crack up and stuff like that. Now I will take off things that are on the tops, so I'll bring the light out again and take away most of the oil. And this. Okay. So what happens now is that I can more easily see all the textures and all the brush strokes. Which leaves me, something to work with. It isn't that rigid, and when I start molding it, the blue and reddish are getting mixed into the colors when I'm painting. So now I'm starting to pull out, and it also becomes more woolly. See, I just put on some paint here. Actually, I have some problems with my thumb these days because I'm making a door in my wall here, and I've been using a hammer and chisel to go through a concrete wall with big rocks in it. So I was hitting so much and carrying so much stones that I lost some feeling in my fingers. So I had to take a break, and I notice when I'm painting I can't really. Sometimes I feel that I'm not that in touch with my fingers, which of course is a problem. Yeah, some white. Get this. So now for every layer of color I make, I kind of build it out the light that is up here. So in the end, the wooliness will just fall in. The fur will kind of, white will come out, and the texture of the fur and water becomes two different physical entities in the painting. It's very important to understand the way the different elements are. What kind of texture and what their constitution maybe is. Yeah. Anyway, so put on some thick layers. Just kind of put it on like this. Bringing the dog out again. The blues and reds. A photograph has a fixed, very fixed color, fixed color. If you work from objects like still lifes and stuff like that, you will notice that it's a little bit more difficult to observe, because it almost seems like the object keeps changing while you're painting. And I've seen people actually paint from laptops or tablets and stuff. And if you actually look into the light of a tablet or a computer screen, you will change the eye's perceptions of colors, and they will also make it harder to paint, so to see the colors. So I would recommend to do it, get a good printer, learn how to print, and yeah, do it that way. So then I start to put more colors into this, and it's gonna. Many people ask me how if I mix the colors basically on the painting. That's what I do. Okay, now. The color of the fur is bluish, it is orange, it is yellow, it is different shades of blue, and a lot of different things, so it's going to be quite hard to get it right. See now. Okay, you have to find the right nuances, work the right way. You know, everything has its own direction, as I say. It's hard to concentrate with the camera on. Do my best. You can also use some ivory black in it. I think kind of grey down the yellows to get it more grey. But you mustn't use it so it dies. It's very important to not use black in such a way that the colors suffers under it. You have to mix it the right way. A shadow is never black, actually. It's full of color. And that's very important to understand. Yep. That is actually what makes this picture, this photo, interesting to paint, because it has all the primary colors and all the shadows and stuff that kind of glides over in a good painted. It's almost like it's painted already. I just have to look at it and repeat what I see. Like the yellows, you see now it's yellows here, and coming down here, there's a lot of yellows. And up here is bluish with some yellows inside it, and greenish, and it's a lot of ish. So if you don't have trained eyes, it's quite difficult to see it. And I can see when people do amateur painting, they usually do the same mistakes. They can't really fathom all the colors they see. And they put too much black into it, or they put too much white into the white places, because nothing is really only white or black. You have to have colors in the white and colors in the black, like the clouds, where you have all the different nuances. So I'm going to turn off the camera a little bit, so we can focus a little bit more, and my eyes are quite tired because I was at a party not this weekend, but last weekend. And I'm still kind of hungover. My brain can't take alcohol. It's the most horrible thing there is. It affects my painting so negatively that, and I fucked up my work rhythm. So as I usually say, for young artists who wants to learn how to paint and stuff, stay the fuck away from alcohol as much as you can, because it's gonna ruin your painting. Well, I guess you get that point. So, yeah. So, I guess have worked with it for a few hours, and it's starting to get more shape, get more substance. So it's kind of the same way. I start to mold the directions and the fur. Then I just keep on doing it all over the place with smaller and smaller brushes, and then slowly building. I'm not drawing anything, I'm just letting all the brush strokes melt into each other. So the sum of all the brush strokes will in the end be a feeling of fur. It is funny to think that every observation I do leads me a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. I keep it more down behind here. I do different directions and different colors. So, you know, the water or the behind here is very light, but it's, as I said, a lot of reddish and kind of a little bit orange to the warm side of the spectrum. So when I'm building that, I'm making this difference in texture by the direction and that I use. And when you come to that point when you can actually start molding like that, that is when it starts getting really a good feeling. If you put on some Bach or Beethoven or some trance music, I like trance music and stuff too, because I always like to dance, and the rhythm, there's good signs that rhythm actually gives you a better focus, because it stimulates the balance nerves and the part of the brain that needs skill to do stuff. That is why it's easier to train when you play music. It's easier to do other things, like walking. If I go for a long walk, I put on some music, and it's just like being on a dance floor. And even walking becomes easier. I don't like music while having sex, actually, because it's quite fun to listen to the girl, or stimulating, listen to the girl breathe. Maybe Rammstein, not Beethoven. No, Beethoven. Bach would be boring for sex, I guess. That would be so pretentious. Anyway. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening under there. It's very nice to that, and I just keep on I used to have a dog and they had the same face. He was exactly loved water, and he was always standing there looking down to the water, into the water. You miss him. But I had the best dog in the world, so so I'm never gonna have another one. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna. The head is starting to get the shape it's gonna have, and that's a good thing. Really looking forward to work with all the things that is happening in the water here, because you can see different colors and stuff, you know, reflected, but deeper. So it's going to be a nice painting. It's a commissioned painting, commissioned work, but I really like painting on this because it's not so stressful with a lot of detail, and I can just be a painter. As I said so many times before, when you go to the museums, go in and look at the detail, at the textures, how the brush strokes are laid down. That's where the secrets are. That's how you can understand how the artist has been thinking, and you can after a while start to relate to the artist when you are looking at pictures. You can actually understand better the mind of Rembrandt and the mind of Van Gogh and the mind of and you don't see it in the motives actually, you see it in the paint. That is so important. Just going to take a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. See what I mean? I have been wondering about actually painting the dog I had in a bigger painting, because I have some beautiful pictures of him when he sits in a sofa and I just said, "Timian, look at me," and he just comes with this intense look she had. And it would be nice to catch it on the canvas. I actually have a skeleton in a box, so I buried him in the woods and dug him up again. I can actually show you. That's funny. Funny, really. So, there he is. This was my dog, Timian. Actually, some of his teeth broke because he was fighting so much with bigger dogs, like male dogs. He was a real fighter. So here you have him. To be or not to be. It's so strange that this dog used to run around with my sticks and was so smart, and now he's so dead. You see it's kind of brownish because I buried him in the woods. But I'm gonna put this up, this cranium, and oh, this is the other way actually, this way. And I'm gonna paint it. I've been having this around now for many years, but I haven't done anything about it. I have a whole skeleton, so except for one leg bone, a different animal will probably run away with it. So it's this way. Some of the teeth have been. He was kind of 14 years old, but he was in good shape, and then he just got one day he just couldn't pee, and I had to put him down that same day, so it was kind of a shock to lose him that fast. That's how it goes. So, yeah. Well, let's see. Oh, quite cool to have him. It's like he's still here. Yeah, maybe I should just paint a little bit. Yeah. It would be crazy to have your parents' skeletons in a box. To bring them out like in Hamlet. To be or not to be. I was cycling home, a week ago, and I looked up to the sky, and it was this beautiful bluish sky, night sky after rain, and it felt like I was kind of inside my head and looking out through my eye like there were windows, and I had this sense of not being in the world but looking out into the world. And at the same time, it reminded me that this life is short and, in all objective sense, totally pointless and meaningless, but so unbelievably beautiful. Anyway, so I'm just gonna make the best out of it. So today I check out, I can feel that my existence on this planet actually mattered a little bit. Not that it matters, because even the solar system and the universe will cease to exist someday, but you know, existence is here now and feels fucking real to me. Yeah. And in all this purposelessness, actually standing here, putting paint on this canvas, gives a sense of meaning. And it always puzzles me, this fact that something so self-serving can, you know, there is a lot of good paintings in the world, and it's not, if I didn't make any paintings, would it really matter? It's a good question. But I put my videos out, and customers buy my paintings, and they love them, and it gives also a sense of meaning. And at the same time, I'm making a living and not free, so it's a good life in a way. It's a hard life, it's intense, and it is not always fun, but I think in general I'm quite content. Only thing that would make me even more content is to create more paintings and be even more focused and really, really doing my job. Because if I don't paint, if I don't get to paint, if I get distracted, I get depressed. So this is my life. This is who I am. Actually, I hope that I get really old and at some point in the future I decide to check out, that I can actually be the master of ending my own life at some point in far, far future. I mean, I didn't choose to be born, so maybe it could be a nice thing to be able to choose when to check out. But then again, it would probably be hard because I tend to want to live a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And boom, at some point you are just too disabled to be able to keep your plan. So you want to die when you are actually doing fine. If I can have a nice house and write some books and do some small paintings and have exhibitions and stuff, that would be enough at some point. Actually, it's already enough in a way. Okay. So, yeah, this video is going to be a part of the whole process video. So, I'm just going to post this one and show you what I'm working on. And yeah, okay. So, as you can see, it's starting to shape up in a way. And I'll just continue working as I've been saying by getting this more in opaque, thick layers. So this kind of comes physically longer out, and in the end I will make that. That is also why I use this. When it had dried, I used thin oil with some color in it to get the color to fall into all the textures. This is not all white, it is white with some bluish and reddish in it. But you have to be kind of careful because, well, it's very easy to become way too white or to lose the natural feeling. But then again, you just keep on, you see I work in direction. I can also use this sometimes, but now just walk doing this, and when I start to mold the fur, I go in and start dragging this way. So, or also this way, but so now in the end I can't really work out where concrete the fur starts and the water begins, but on distance you can actually get the impression that there is a line there. And that is basically the trick, to not just make it in color and paint, but to make it also into a physical thing. Yeah. And I have these. See what I do here? Because there's some fur that goes up, so I go in and I start to work with the directions. And even if I did it slowly, gives it one texture. If I do it quick, I can drag some of the color from the water part. Or I can go from the water part into or over this layer and just make it totally transparent. But on a distance it looks like the fur is just gliding into the background. Then you go in and you can work on top of that again. And you just keep on molding until you get this natural feeling of the whole thing. So, and this process is you just keep on going back and forth, and the closer you get to the finished object, the more deeper you go, the deeper you have to see. Okay, get that one. So, and again, and you kind of can do this with your eyes, and you get more a sense of the nuances, because you're taking away all the detail. So when I did that now, I can see actually the fur is a little bit too bright. So, see, I do mix a little bit now. But it's also greenish, because behind here is red, in the reds and light blues, and here it is bluish, greenish, a little bit reddish, because it reflects the light from the sea into the fur. So I can't just have one color here and one color down there. I need to get this color in a way into the fur too. So because in nature everything is reflected in everything else. There's no such thing as this color and that color. So, see what I mean? It becomes more natural. At this point it's far from friendly. And also here, because I have some bluish stuff, it's correct, and here it becomes a light bluish, but also in the red. It's many levels. You have to think about the directions. You have to see the directions. You have to see the different colors. You have to understand, or in a way feel it in your gut, what is the right texture, the right color for different textures. Now, there are artists who are painting very photorealistic and really good stuff too. But as I said before, I think they lack the last part, the extremely subjective part. And I also feel that paintings who are very realistic and very flat painted are quite boring to look at in reality. They actually get more shape and more the sculptural feel when you see them on photos, because then you get it down to comprimere it and the photography also gives the paintings more depth and more. Actually, in my case, it's the opposite, because I work so hard with the colors and the textures that it's actually quite impossible to photograph it. And it drives me nuts sometimes, because you post a photograph and I can't really get to show you how it is. And I think when I film my paintings, and usually I start with a finished one and I just show how it's painted, it's actually a better way for me to make you see all the textures and directions, so I can explain to you what I'm after. This is nice to paint this, because really it is only directions, nuances, and not so much detail. I absolutely don't claim to be a photorealist. I'm a painter. I love paint. I love to see the paint the strokes, and I love to see how it's sculpted. That is what I look at when I go to the big museums. So how the artist solved it. So very photorealist paintings can be very impressive on the technical level, but as I say, they are not that fascinating to me as the pencil strokes of Rembrandt or Delacroix, or like Edvard Munch in Sick Girl in Norway. It's an unbelievable painting, and I haven't been seeing it for a while. I should go more to museums and look at paintings. So, yeah. People keep saying that, oh, I would like to be a painter. Just paint. Start. Keep on working with it. sometimes I actually feel I shouldn't recommend it to people because it's a very stressful life, especially when you are. I am quite hyperactive and probably a little bit bipolar, and this kind of work should not compute with my hectic brain, but that's the beauty of it. It calms me down. Just go into this beautiful flow, and it has in a way become my lifeline. So yeah. It's the only place I could find this kind of calm, so I don't have to think all the time. Think. Anyway, I need to stop now. It's like 8 in the morning and I need to get some sleep. So I hope you learned something from this. Thank you very much. Now, painting a dog's face is actually quite difficult if you want a dog to look like the dog you're painting. Same as with the human. I found out the hard way, so I just have to keep working on it. Much. And the nuances in this painting is most of the light is in the background, so yeah, by the way, there's a store up there, a store. Kinner's making some noises now. He's using a drill or something. Anyway, I think it starts to look like the dog. It's going to take more time than I thought. God damn it. It's like 8 in the morning and he start doing that shit. I mean, we do have mostly the same genome, so I don't remember how far you have to go back in history of evolution to find a common ancestor, but you can actually check it out. Just fucking Google it. It's not that hard. That's what I do when I wonder about something. I just Google it, and most of the information you need is to be found on internet, and that is the beautiful thing with internet. You can actually find any information that we know about, and there is no need for ignorance. problem is that people don't know what they don't know. And they don't have the knowledge of what to search for or the interests. So it was actually worse when I was a kid. You have to go to a book or a library or something to find information. Since also information are changing quite fast, new discoveries, and you can't really be sure that what you're hearing is right. Fuck you! Well, he's a nice guy. So. Someday when I get stinking rich, I'm gonna buy it. Buy that store upstairs because it has this huge windows with the roof is like 5 meters or 4 meters to the roof. Would be perfect as a studio. And it's I think it's from Pakistan or something, the guy who has this local store, and he's an old guy, so I don't know how long he's going to be around. Maybe it's a family business. They're working like crazy actually. They're working from like 7 in the morning to 12 in the evening. And it's impressive. You would never get Norwegians to work like that, and they probably doesn't have that much money back to do all that work either, but it's probably a family business. So it's impressive in a way. It's a good thing about immigration actually. You get people that come from a culture where they actually put in a lot of work. But of course you also get older people on welfare, but that is not their fault, that is society's fault. It doesn't stimulate them to get into work and learn the language and stuff like that. Anyway, that was a rant about totally different things then. Painting. So I'll go back to painting. You see, fur, his fur is also wet, so it kind of sticks together. If it wasn't wet, it would be more like more fluffy, maybe. So I'm painting wet fur. So I have to give it a wet feeling, a wet feel to it. You can't really see his eye, so there's some more oil in the cup. I start wondering, is the snout too long? Is it too short? It's quite hard to see I think I'm on the right track. Maybe the eye should actually be a little bit more up here. And the snout maybe a little bit bigger. But there's minor details, things to get the right feel of fur now. And then I can do all these small adjustments. And I got that right. And then you have all the different colors, like nuances here is kind of, it's more greenish, yellowish type. So behind here it's more in the blue-red. But a good way to make this difference is to put in thicker layers of color to bring it out. And keep building it as a sculpture. As I've been saying a gazillion times. No, that wasn't right. Or was it? Shit, I don't know. Because it comes a little bit more out here. There's also minor details. So now it looks like the ear. Gods. This is gonna kill me. I thought it was actually gonna be quite easy, but it's gonna kill me. That's all my fucking painting styles. At some point, my paintings are always starting to try to kill me. But I guess that comes with the territory. If you have some self-respect as a painter, that is what actually happens to you every time. Come to a certain point and the paintings just don't want to come. Just don't want to, shall we say, yeah, what the fuck am I going to say? Problem, we should have our English course. Yeah, I won't comply or go where you wanted it to go. Probably a better word for it. That is what I'm looking for anyway. Now I see there's some kind of a split here, and it is greenish, but it's a broken greenish. So it has to be in a way something like this. Gives the head its shape, and yeah. Okay, I guess I just have to turn off the camera and concentrate. when I get into these difficulties like this, I really need to put in all my attention, and standing here talking to you becomes very difficult. So my mother and father were here a few days ago. My mother, oh, it looks finished. Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could just do like many artists do, just wish, finished, good. It's called Impressionism. Well, I'm not interested in sloppy work and easy solutions. I want to get into the substance of everything, and that is where I reach my actually reach the points where I can't get it right and get challenged. It's a place where I'm drowning in a way. I start drowning, and drowning is it's a good thing. It's like grappling. If you're grappling with someone who's better than you, you can't get up and just feel you're losing your strength. Then you just have to try to relax and go with the flow, and in a way give up without stop fighting. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna turn off this. I'm gonna turn it back when I've fixed it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I've done some progress. I'm right now in a total war with this painting. I really don't seem to be able to get it right. I go back and forth with the snout, with the head, with everything. I think the head maybe became a little bit better. But it's really hard to find exactly the size and the facial expression of the dog, because that is what makes it this dog and not any dog, as I said before. And I also go back and forth with the head, how far that way does it go, and I have real problems seeing it because the nuances are so close together, and I seem to go back and forth, and by now I think I've gone too far out, so I just have to kind of make it a little bit smaller again, because at some point I've made the head too big, which of course created a painting that was wrong in the proportions, and that I cannot live with. So I just have to get it back into the right size. And also, which also is difficult is the color, because when I'm closing my eyes and I look at a photo, look at this, is too light. It is too much white in it, and I have to kind of get it down in in shadows and nuances. And it's really hard. It's becoming it's the same fight. I thought it was going to be quite easy, but at this point I see that I'm going to be working on this a lot. So, and step by step, you know, the first sketch are always open, it's always kind of nice, it seems it's gonna not be a big problem, it's gonna solve itself in a way. And then I start breaking down the sketch, and that is when the real problems appear. I always kind of reach that point of where my skills really start to get tested. And also, I really can't let it go when I'm painting. Now it's like 8 in the morning again. It's Saturday morning. I was actually out dancing. Had some fun with friends earlier, and then I come home and I was just gonna paint. I've been doing that since 4 o'clock, so it's like 4 hours. Yeah. But then again, suddenly it will reach a point where I'll reach the point where I can start doing the more extreme detail, but it's not tonight anymore, during this morning. Yeah. So, when you reach that point where you start struggling, that is actually when the learning begins. Yeah, and when I go out, I'm usually sober, and I was sober. I couldn't have done this if I had been drinking. Forget about it. That is not possible. So that's also a luxury I have, because I don't drink so often. So I go out a lot, but I don't drink much. So I can come home and I can do some work instead of eating pizza and watching stupid movies for 4 hours to get down from the high. Now, when I have reached where I want to be, I will start. Now, I have built this out, but I will really start to give it that highlight I need with the red in it to make it more like a sculpture. Like this, I put down these thick layers of color, if you see, and just kind of a little bit light-handed so I don't fuck up the brush strokes. So I give the water behind him, I give that some texture, and now you see it just comes out. And the same here, because I can see that it's not totally correct yet. I'm getting there. And up here is kind of, it is, Oh, use the word kind of, I hate that word. Up here it has this cobalt blue, and I have to get it into the layer I just lay down there, so I get that fluffy feel to it. But at the same time I have to follow the fur that actually goes like this, and kind of a round way to follow the shape of the dog. So there's many things to think about. And this is what makes painting enjoyable and frustrating to me, because I keep on doing problem solving, and when I finally get it right, it's like a release. Just next. The first sketch is very spontaneous. It's you just grab the first impressions, and it is so open that it's always seems very right. You know, down here into the whites, but then again you start keep on going, and it's not that open anymore. Now it's there's a wet fur that kind of goes down to the so these are the kind of detail I usually work with in the end. And I'm gonna of course film that too, but right now, so it comes down like this, and then mirrors, and I want to have to get that wet feeling. So, but then again, I'm gonna work with that when I get it right. And it's reds and blues, and then it's yellows and greens and blues, and there's cobalt again, and there we have some reddish down here that comes into that tail, and I have to think about how deep is the shadows, I have to think about the shapes. There's so many things. It's just a dog. And I have to show with a I don't remember the word now. Yeah, blah blah blah. Anyway, I want to make it let it dry a couple of days, and I'm going to go back and work with it. I'll have some exhibitions coming up and some collective stuff, so I have to work on them. And I'm also going to New York, so I have to finish some paintings before I get there. Ah, now it disappeared again. And I'm tired. Seriously tired. So, anyway, I just let it dry. It's actually driving me crazy now. I'm not concentrating, so it drives me nuts. So, maybe. Well, I saw this documentary about Lucian Freud, and he was kind of going in with that color, and he was like kind of touching it like this. And always drew his color on a wall and stuff. I kind of understand why, because you see something and you just look and you just place it like that. So you keep on building up the textures and the shapes by choosing the next move. So that's also a way to do it. Anyway, it starts to look like a dog, so it's going to be a beautiful dog in the end. And it's going to pay my bills. Fuck. Why do I do this? Why can't I just leave it alone? Okay. I think I have the sketch quite okay now, and I can start giving it the right fluffy feeling, start going into deeper detail. And it's strange how kind of taken a life of his own. Now I have to start understanding repeating the directions of the fur, and not only that, I have to keep it down because it's so easy. It's so common that I mistaken these more white grayish areas as way too white, and they aren't actually. They are bluish, greenish. The thing here that everything is kind of ish. When the hell do I use that word kind of? It is greenish. It is bluish. It isn't kind of. Well, unless you mean some kind of, maybe. But so I have all these, and since the dog is wet, I have to get in this wet look. And it's going to be a tedious process. I'm enjoying it, so it has been interesting. I have this beautiful picture of my late, or as I like to call it, dead dog, Timian. His name was Timian. And I wonder by actually painting one of them, it's become, of course, much more realistic. And yeah, it's such a personality. Of course, I don't exaggerate animals or dogs. Capability of actually knowing that they exist. They don't ponder existence like we do. They don't really know like we do that they exist. They don't sit around and look at the moon and think, why the hell am I here? They don't do any science. They don't plan the future. So it's a good question if they actually exist at all. And we tend to, since we have the same origins biologically, we tend to give animals much more credit because they actually have the traits we had millions of years ago. We have a common ancestor with a dog somewhere, and or a fish or whatever. So there will be some common. There will be some common attributes. Or but the thing with consciousness, the thing we have, it just isn't there. And they have been testing animals, and even chimpanzees. Maybe they have a little bit of it, but they have a brain that is 2 times smaller than ours. So their cognitive capacities are very limited. It was like a 2-year-old or something like that. The reasoning of a 2-year-old, and that is not much. So, but I think it was 8 million years or something like that. That is the difference between us and them. And if I'm not wrong, I'm sure somebody will correct me on this. I could actually Google it, because if I'm not certain, I usually just Google stuff and find out. It's a good way to live. Knowledge is power, and it's also power of the most destructive thing we have in us, and that's the tendency to go for our own biases and not ask questions. And we choose often to follow feelings instead of reasons, or almost all the time. Anyway, so if you ask a question, let your next thought be, Google it. Okay, consciousness. I remember my dog, he had a lot of personality. They do have a personality. They do have a... Every dog is different. It's like us. And how different are we actually? I mean, we seem to do the same mistakes. We seem to believe in the same ridiculous ideas. We seem to fall in love. We seem to eat the wrong foods or the right foods. We seem to not be able to put reason in front of our emotions and stuff like that. And that is actually traits that, of course, also animals have. A dog is basically ruled by genomes and emotions, and a little bit of erfaring, som det heter på norsk. The fuck is the English name, English word? Experience, of course. Experience. In Norwegian is erfaring. Experience, erfaring. And the Norwegian word is erfaring. But so, would I eat a dog? Yeah, I would. If I can eat a pig, I can eat a dog. And I eat pig meat every Christmas. That's basically the pig I eat during the year. My mother's Christmas steak. Best meal of the year. Pigs are at least as intelligent as dogs. We eat them. So yeah, I would eat dogs. The problem with eating animals is actually how we treat them. And if we had ecological farming, and the animals had reasonably good lives, I see no problem. Like when I'm driving through my home island, I see a lot of cows and sheep and stuff lying around in grass, and the horses are standing around and just they're eating, and the sheep are lying in the grass protected. No predators, nothing, and they eat and they sleep and they breathe, and the worst thing can happen to them actually is that they get wet. And then they taken to a slaughterhouse and they are made into delicious meat, and I see no problem with it. We could have a discussion actually about actually higher animals like dogs and pigs, because they are much more intelligent than sheep and cows actually. They do have more mental capacity than them, and maybe we could have a discussion if we should just avoid eating animals that are that intelligent, but I always fall back to the fact that they aren't conscious creatures, or they are conscious in a sort of way, but they don't have the introspection. So without introspection, you can't really have a subject. So yeah. So I don't see. It's not a murder. Like that ridiculous organization, PETA, this religious fanatics, ISIS of the, I call it the ISIS of the animal rights movement. The ISIS of the these crazy people running around and actually thinking that animals are humans. It's so fucking ridiculous. And they use the medicines, and they use the things that are evolved or developed from animals. Also a double standard. They also have these shelters that they actually kill most of the animals, because I guess it's big business to get a lot of money into these shelters to support their ridiculous religion. I'll give animal rights the day they ask for it. Well, now you see how I try to work. Of course I'm talking, so it's not so easy to concentrate. I'm going to put up some music after this. And working with the fur like this, try to the sum of all the times I touch the canvas will sooner or later become the feeling I get when I look at a photo. So that is how you have to think. You just have to keep on repeating the shapes you see, the colors you see. Keep on repeating and repeating and repeating, and in the end you're gonna get this fluffy feeling. Because you can't possibly paint everything you see. So, and in a way, what I do, I kind of pick out a piece every time I look. I just pick a piece and I just repeat it. So, yeah. The thing about treating animals, when I was a kid, I had ducks and hens and a gazillion rats because I gave them too much food. The hens and stuff. And I remember some ducklings that broke their foot, and I was kind of sitting there and I put the foot together again, and I put two sticks and tape, and I kept them inside the house for a week or so until the foot had healed, and I just let them out again. And today, I thought it was a good deed, but the pain they must have felt when I put this broken foot together again. And some of them, they grew up, and if it wasn't the lead that was broken, they actually, it was one that was the kind of lead, I don't remember, joint. And it had the stiff foot for the rest of his life, but it grew up and jumped around on his foot. Others, they was totally okay because the break was kind of in the bone. And I have always loved animals. I was the kind of kid that I didn't push the flies under the water when I saw them crawling in water. I always took them up and enjoyed watching them polish their wings and fly away. And so, and it's a good thing for kids to have some animals around them to learn basic empathy. But there's a difference between having some empathy for other creatures and pain and stuff than to go all out crazy and believe that these animals are like humans and they deserve the same rights, because they don't even know what right means. So that was just ridiculous. But treat the animals in a good way, and if you can't have a farm that gives them a quite good life, you shouldn't be allowed to have a farm. And we should eat less meat, and we should use less, maybe even stop using cows or bigger game, bigger animals, because it's not the resources that goes into create 1 kilo of meat is way too high to what you get out of it. And then again, it's nice to have milk and cheese and stuff, so maybe it just should be more expensive so that the animals could in general have better lives. And there's one thing with dogs, they have actually evolved a brain that are compatible with our brain, because they've been around us for so long. That's why you can't actually tame a wolf in the same way. A wolf would always be dangerous to the owner. So because of they have the more primal instincts intact, a dog's brain is kind of molded to be more social and fit in with humans. So maybe that's also an argument not to eat them. And of course it's not necessary to eat dogs and cats and stuff like that, because there's not much meat you get from them compared to what you have to put in. So anyway, that was about animal rights and crazy vegans and PETA and bullshit. So I guess some people will hate me for saying so. But I'm a meat eater because I'm evolved to be a meat eater. So that is why I do it. And I don't see them as conscious creatures, and therefore it's not murder. If I knew or got to know that these animals actually had consciousness, I would stop eating them. Or introspection, planning. I would stop eating them immediately, because then I would actually view it as murder. Yeah. So, and with this, you can kiss my ass. So, okay, I'm starting to reach the end. What I'm doing right now is just going back and forth and try to get the right volume in his fur, and making all the... I've been working a lot with a tail here, because to get it to kind of just flow into the background, at the same time keep the shape, has been very difficult, because nuance between here and the tail is extremely say, when I look at it, it's almost like it's the same, but the difference is a little bit in the color. Both are bluish, but one of them are lighter than the other, and it also is maybe a little bit reddish here, orange-like, bluish. It's so difficult to see. It's just going back and forth now for hours, days, because you get in there and you think that you have done the last strokes, and then you just see now it's kind of just this little stroke here kind of shows the shape, and you actually has to let it dry a little bit, because between those layers, because at some point you start pushing the same color, into wet paint, and it becomes a mush in a way. It doesn't really become anything. So those strokes, actually, what I did there explains the background. Now behind here there is a little bit reddish. See now the subtlety of the brush strokes is just have to touch it but not overdo it, because the challenge is always too much versus too little. And I guess I think I maybe But then I started looking here, because now I did something here, so this pops out. It's too dark, so it kind of falls in, while it should actually be more like this and come out. But then again, it has a reddish hue. Or does it? Every time I look back on it, I can't really decide. So now, boom, it's gone. And I have to figure out a way to get it back. And then here, on this point, the direction you paint, like I did like this, or down there, onto the tail. At this point, I need to differentiate the different layers or directions by the way I use my brush. So I kind of keep the shape, but I don't lose the natural okay, yeah, that was better, much better. Now the tail is kind of in the background there. So okay, because what I do when I don't really see the, I just kind of, you can also take 2 fingers, kind of just 4 fingers, and you just try to look through and you just narrow it down like a lens, so you are more able to see the differences and nuances. Whew. So it's always the same struggle. It's almost funny how it's the same problems, actually the same solutions too, because the solution to the problems are patience and trying to wind yourself down to this Zen-like level where you really relax and start seeing how it really is. And I'm very light on my hand now because I don't want to fuck it up. And when I'm light on my hand, the brush strokes kind of stays on top of the paint. I don't push it into the paint. So you give the impression or the illusion of lightness. Not light, but yeah, lightness. I hope you understand what I'm saying. You see now I just can touch it like this, and yeah, and I get this kind of fluorescent light. That are on top. Remember, we can't just push white, because white doesn't really give any white itself doesn't really give any light. You have to have the contrasts, and you have to have colors in the white, or just dyes just becomes white. You don't want to. It's like people who use too much black. They kill their paintings with too much black. They think, oh, there's some dark here, I'm gonna push some more black into it, and you just kill the whole thing. So this is where I go into what I call the extreme detail, where not extreme, but everything I do is more like a conscious choice instead of only intuition like you use when you're just sketching or So these effects, just this little thing here, gives it this sense of natural fur. So little, it's so subtle. So, and up here I've been struggling because I see it's blue, but it's also yellowish. So I go back and forth with too much, too little, too much, too little. And it's kind of just driving me nuts. And I've become so manic about it, I just want to let it go. I mean, people can't really see these things. They see them intuitively, maybe, or experience the painting as better when you work like that, because you give it so much of your personality. But people who can't paint can't possibly understand it. You have to paint to be able to understand these subtleties. That is why I, as a painter, when I go to I've been saying this before, I know, but I'm going to bore you with it. When I go to these big museums and I look at the paintings, I always look at the brush strokes, because that's the brush strokes is what tells the tale about the artist, what kind of mood he was in. Did he really go into this painting, or is it just a superficial motif or a good painting? So, and with ideals and goals like that, it's really hard to be content with one's own work. It's basically impossible. But it's a good thing. Artists to come to content and to solipsistic don't make good art. They just I think they're starting to reach the point of finish soon. I will work probably for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 8 hours more. But then I hope to be able to call it finished tonight, because I've been struggling with this now for such a long time. So I thought it was going to be quite easy, but it turned out to be much harder than I expected. So, because there's no real... There are some details, but it's so subtle that it all comes down to just nuances and brush strokes. I need to get all these nice things here right, so it seems natural. and some of the things in the water that gives this feeling of water is to me important. I was actually going to deliver this before Christmas, but I postponed it because I saw that I could actually take it to another level, and that is what I try to do. When I'm old, I hope I can tell myself that I actually tried to create some nice paintings, and it is actually very nice to know. People tell me that I get a lot out of what I do in my videos, and it makes me happy. If I can help anyone to get inspired or create more, get better, really makes my day, you know. Lovely. Lovely? Yes. Oh. There's a drop of water that comes from here. It's so subtle. And it's kind of, yeah. Oh. Anyway, I'll just keep working a few more hours, and then every painting is in a way a never-ending story, but you know, you can't, and sometimes you just reach a point where you just can't go deeper, and I do feel that I have almost reached that point. If the painting should be more, shall we say, more photorealistic, you need a picture with more information, more detail. Yeah. So. Wet, wet, wet. The dog has a wet look. Which is difficult, actually. Okay, enough rant for this one. Every video becomes so long, so just have to forgive me. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this again. I figured out that I would like to do some lasur before I finish it, which means that I will use my and reddish color with 70% turpentine and 30% oil, just to give the whites some more potency in color and get some more texture, which I find very important in a painting. So what I do is kind of messing it up a little bit. I'll give it a little bit more. Now you see all the color is now falling into the textures and giving it a little bit more life. I've been studying for Turner and Rembrandt and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they did some of the same thing to get that beautiful textures and colors. So, because what happens is that when the light hits the canvas now, the white underneath are sending. The white underneath is kind of being the white that I usually would put into the color. So you have some clear color now with the white shining through it, which actually gives a nice effect. And then I go in with my tools and I scrape away some of it, and I paint over some of it to again increase the contrasts. It's kind of the last thing I do. So if you see, I just go over with the same color, and that also makes the painting won't fall in. Thus, I like it to come out actually, but not so much that it actually loses its paintedness. You see now, it feels exactly the same, but it has gotten a little bit deeper. The shadows gets a little bit deeper. Then I will just pick up and scrape away some of it. And yeah. What I'm using is Kaplak or Alcerin and French ultramarine to do this. So you might try it out. Song. And it also deepens the shadows, and it deepens everything. Gives it a little bit more wally, a little bit more I'm a painter. I'm not I'm not that perfect, actually. I try to be a painter, not a... I see some of the best figurative painters are very... they're kind of standing here brushing every hair and stuff like that, but it kind of really doesn't interest me. I like a painting to look like a painting. I want people to see the brush strokes and stuff. So. Yeah, I think that was quite nice. What happens in the white? Yeah, it was a little bit more red. Give it a little bit more. I don't know how this would work, you know, like 200 years if some person would try to conserve colors or remove dirts. But then again, when this has dried, I put on a vernice. So, but I think this to be able to get colors back if they have faded by dirt or something will be quite hard, because if you try to remove the dirt with some turpentine, you would very easily also remove all the beautiful clear colors that now are falling into all the cracks and all the textures in the canvas. Can actually do a close-up of it, and so you can see better. Just take this over to the painting so I can show you what I mean. You can actually, maybe you can see it. See, no, it's quite hard to get it. Yeah, it's not easy. No. Won't move. Why? Come on. Is it fixed? Well, what I'm trying to show you is how the texture. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, I guess maybe. Well, you see how the color is. Yeah, now it's happening. Okay, how the color is actually kind of falling into the texture here. See how the brush strokes and all the bluish and the reds are now falling in. See if we can get it out here. And how I just let everything glide together in a... There's no really where anything starts or stops. It's just... Here is clearer. But also how... You see, now you can see the brush strokes. The effect of the brush strokes. And you will see this in Turner's painting, in the Rembrandt's painting. So all the paintings that are painted by painters who actually were more concerned about the paint than the motif. This has been a very hard painting to do because it was difficult to see how different colors were working against each other. Yeah. Well, I hope you get the point, because that is to me anyway, that is what painting is all about. Getting that stuff to work. If you can get this to work, then you are come a long way. And to me, I view it as almost as a quest for a lifetime, because it's really hard to get it right, and you never come to a point where you tell yourself, oh, now it's finished. You can always go one step further. And that is why, to me, if I use a photograph or a model, it doesn't really matter, because it's always the same goal. If I paint a still life or something like that, it's always the same goal. Yeah. And what I do now, I don't even think it's necessary, but what I do is to just start. But it seems quite nice now anyway. I don't want to leave it, because yeah, maybe I paint a little bit on it before I just leave it now, and then I probably will go nuts again and just keep on working on it until Odin comes back. So you can actually go in and you can do like this, and you can even get more textures, more of these things to work. You have to be a little bit brutal. It don't be worried. It's canvas. Even if you get a hold of it, you can just take canvas on the back side and you just kind of glue it together, and you can fill it up with grounding and fix it. So that's the nice thing about canvas, is you can actually go back and forth. Yeah, okay. I think I post this video as a video about how to do the lasur, and with this, yeah. Okay, bye bye. See now. Doggy, doggy, doggy. Yeah. So that was a lasur, and I'm gonna go in to this and hopefully I'm not gonna fuck it up. That is always a problem. There's always another layer or another always something more you can do, and the hours tend to just vanish into thin air and wind up with almost going nuts just for the smallest details. Oh shit. So what is my goal with these videos? Good question, eh? Why? Well, it's nice to give some knowledge away to other people. It's nice to hear when people tell me that I inspire them to start painting again, or solving some problem they had with how to approach it. It's always nice to get some feedback. So if you want to tell me on YouTube or on Facebook, or Twitter, or LinkedIn, or whatever. It's nice to hear from you. So, I'm really scared now because there is always something you can do. I'm just going in now, and what's happening now is quite interesting because the color I just put on, the lazuli, is now mixing with the color I put in now. So when I put on color, I also have to think about what pigment is in the color I used in the lazuli. So if, for instance, there's reddish, I have to put on some more blue, or if I put on reddish, it becomes too red. So many things to think about. Just wanted to have some more shape. Some more here, a little bit more. I make them boot. That's some more boot. Some more bang for the buck. Okay. So this is how I then work on top of it. Boom, too much, okay? That's the problem. And people don't see it, but I see it. When I see it, it pisses me off. Because I'm a manic person. And it has to be totally right. Now, this is very tempting to, instead of putting my white in here, maybe I should just pull the white back out again, like this. Yeah. It's fun painting this dog, but it was really difficult. 10 times more difficult than I thought. So the guy who won it is getting a lot of painting for the buck. But he's a nice guy, so it doesn't matter. And I was quite proud of knowing that I put in a lot of work. Despite people have told me that it looks finished for a very long time. Now, I can't go into all the details because then I could stand here for the next 2 years. So, I just have to stop, I guess. Yeah. So, just give it a little bit more. Because it's very easy to keep working for such a long time that in the end you are just blind. You can't really figure it out. And that is when you should just leave it alone for a few days and just stop looking at it, because you won't get anywhere anyway. You are so frustrated that you just have to kind of walk away. Yeah. So, well, the point is, the lasur, and you can do several things. You can put on more color on top of it. Here I use my Prussian blue and a lot of whites. So but I'm really scared of putting this on because I don't know how it will react with the lasur. So when I do this, I have to be very careful. If you see what I mean, it's like it lights up immediately, because now all the other colors are lying inside there. Maybe I need some more reddish to calm it down. Yeah, that was the right thing to do. So the beautiful thing about this is you kind of have to learn as you go along. People tell me, oh, how did you learn to paint? Have you always painted? No, I didn't. When I was 21 years old, I couldn't paint anything. I couldn't draw anything. And I just started because I had a girlfriend who wanted me to get a hobby, because I was just training and sitting in cafes, and I was actually a welder, but I was out of work then. It wasn't so much to do in my shipyard. So she got me into this, and I guess the rest is history. It's now, I'm 48 now. I was 22, 21 when I picked up the brush or the pencil for the first time. So that is now, 26 years ago, 27 years ago. And I had the period with too much partying, which probably stole a lot of paintings from me, a lot of progress, but also gave me, not the drinking, but all the tragedy that followed with it. Too much partying isn't good for art, I'm sure about that. So now I drink very rarely, but it's fun when I do. Still like the taste of red wine once in a while. Almost like, it reminds me of the movie Apocalypse Now, when he says, "You smell this? You smell this? It's napalm." Smells. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. And I guess when I have a 3 or 4 glasses of wine, that is kind of the feeling it gives for a short period of time. But it has diminishing returns and should be used with caution. Artists tend to believe that they should drink more, but actually they should drink less, because as a painter you actually need your brain intact more than most. And being hungover and try to do what I'm doing now, it's not fucking possible. Don't even try it. No. So, well, I'm gonna do a little bit more, but I think this is enough footage for this one. Starting to come to that point where I think it's finished, but I have to have a coffee and think a little bit first. And okay. So remember these. You can go in and you can put some on the white back. It's like drawing actually. Yeah. I think it's nice now. Hopefully I won't. That tail, I've been working so much with that tail, it almost made me crazy. Anyway, okay.